Fans have been interested in Lil Durk's life behind bars ever since he was arrested and taken to Broward County Jail. Is he lying low, gangbanging, or causing trouble? Have you been curious about his well-being? Behind bars, Lil Durk Cellmate made an interesting statement regarding the rapper's behavior when he was in prison. I'll show you some of L in this video. Durk's unexpected actions in prison. Lil Durk behind bars. It appears that the rapper, who once traveled in a fancy jet, is now confined to the four-corner walls of the OTF headquarters after OTF founder Lil Durk was arrested on murder charges related to a larger conspiracy. Jail. According to jail records, rapper Lil Durk, 32, whose actual name is Durk Banks, was arrested and sent to the Broward County Jail due to ongoing murder charges. This occurred subsequent to the rapper and 5 other family members being charged by the U.S. District Attorney in Los Angeles with both using a machine gun and conspiring to conduct murder for hire that ended in death. Lil Durk appears to be adjusting to life behind bars like a pro, and there are rumors that he is getting along well there except from. Durk is incredibly charming and has agreed to spend the rest of his life in prison for the food, an insider told TMZ. The insider informed TMZ that the Grammy-winning rapper is in great spirits despite his difficulties and that he gets along well with both his fellow inmates and the staff at FDC Miami. However, as TMZ noted, the rapper hates the meal even if he gets along with everyone else. This appears to be a common grievance among inmates, especially considering that the food offered there is the exact opposite of the lavish dinner one is used to. Breakfast is optional and starts at 5 o'clock a.m. An anonymous ex-offender shared his thoughts on prison food on Quora, writing, "I was sentenced to 2 years on Rikers Island and served 18 months. The food there is terrible, but you learn to adapt. They serve milk, toast, and a ton of jelly, and sometimes they even give you a muffin." He added that although they don't give eggs for breakfast, they do serve egg salad at lunch since inmates occasionally prepare the meals. If you belong to a particular gang or clique, you will give extra delicacies, such as extra chicken breast or skim milk, to people who don't have a medical card. Another inmate at San Quentin State Prison claims that the food prepared there is quite different from what my mother prepares. It tastes flat and has no scent. But one thing is for sure, I won't be eating beans when I do go. Beans are sometimes provided to us for breakfast and dinner. However, they are sometimes hard and dry. For breakfast and supper, I'd rather eat beans than rocks. I'm careful because there can be a fragment of eggshell lying about, and the eggs are always cold. It doesn't arrive with fresh bread. The bread isn't soft, but it's also not hard, and sometimes there's an additional piece on the tray. In addition to the meals, Lil Durk has behaved politely among the Broward County Jail's inmates. It's interesting to note that some of America's most notorious criminals have been housed in the jail. For those who don't know, Melly has been a prisoner there for the last 5 years, and in spite of his tough demeanor, he doesn't appear to be having any fun. A recently freed former inmate of Broward County Jail still recalls the layout and functions of the facility, and he asserts that Melly is restricted to the main jail. Broward has 4 jails, 3 of which are in Pompano, next to the main jail in Fort Lauderdale, where bookings are processed and important high-profile cases are kept up to date. He is located on the 8th floor of the main jail. Before being transferred to PC, he was in GIMP. When he was in G-Poop, my bunkie shared a room with him, but now that he's on a PC, they seem to be mistreating him by not letting him use a phone and not letting him turn on the TV. It's a bad time because of his standing. Despite the fact that the jail has cameras, let's presume that Lil Durk is either in the main jail as well or has probably been transferred to a PC. Guarantee your safety. For instance, a complaint alleging inhumane treatment in jail was once filed by YNW Melly. He reportedly requested the Florida judge to release him right away and accused the Broward Sheriff's Office of cruelly treating him while he was incarcerated. You have to act appropriately in jail, especially in a terrible institution like Broward County Jail, where the majority of the inmates are reportedly suffering from mental health disorders. To be honest, Prison is a really crazy place where your dreams, hopes, and career can be destroyed in the blink of an eye. I'm speaking from experience, so please don't judge me. In response to a call for 40 facts about the Broward County Jail, one ex-inmate said, "It's a filthy, nasty jail, and so are the deputies that work there. People should be treated with respect regardless of their past actions since they are still human. This hellhole has to be cleaned up by Tony." Absolutely hell, another user concurred. However, some individuals still use reason to criticize the notorious condition of Broward County Jail. When I visited, everything seemed to be just what I had anticipated. Since I have hypoglycemia, a constable was gracious enough to bring me a Mountain Dew upon my release to prevent me from becoming ill. Thank you, sir. I didn't even ask. Broward County Jail is a terrible place, according to another user, who claims that they detain inmates for several hours after their release before releasing them around 3 in the morning. This person appears to be concluding the discussion by reminding everyone that they can avoid going to jail. Hey, the solution is don't do the crime, and you won't pay the time that's due. Criminals don't mind going to jail once you start caving into them. Rappers often end up there, which makes it an even stranger environment. How do you get there? Rappers typically have the resources and recognition they require. You lose everything in prison. What brought Lil Durk there? How did L feel? Was Durk taken into custody? Rapper Lil Durk, whose real name is Durk Banks, was arrested and charged with a higher-level murder conspiracy in connection with the death of Lil Pooh Quando Rondo's cousin, shocking the industry. I am aware that you are beginning to make connections. Dots. But hold on while I give you a quick explanation. 5 members of Lil Durk's Soul Family OTF gang were prosecuted by federal authorities in California, and he was placed under arrest. According to the accusations, the men planned to cross state borders to execute the purported 2022 attack on Quando Rondo's circle.
Now, 5 people in custody who weren't in custody before. 5 people who were alleged to have committed a murder in broad daylight in the middle of the afternoon in the city of Chicago.
5 guys were arrested by federal officials in connection with the August 2022 shooting in Los Angeles that killed Quando Rondo's cousin in retribution for King Von's death. They are currently being charged with conspiracy to commit murder for pay. The officials appear to have been looking for a meaningful link between Lil Durk, the big fish, and the murder accusation. The feds don't need an informant, in my opinion, to tell them that Lil Durk undoubtedly made the decisions about King Von's demise. They somehow understood that the crime was a continuation of the terrible events that took place at the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta in 2020, where Lil Durk's best friend, King Von, was killed. They were labeled on his affiliate. The feds, in my opinion, just needed someone to accuse him of. Strong evidence that Lil Durk was behind the retaliatory hit. Yes, OTF Jam is the person in question. The feds have access to a great deal of information from Jam's wiretap body because Jam is a close circle affiliate of L Durk, so it's not surprising that L Durk's career took a terrible turn as soon as they got what they wanted.
Durk has been locked up in Broward County Jail. He's there right now. This is his... Yes, Broward. He's in Florida. I got the whole thing on... Look on my stream. I got it. Oh my God, bro.
DJ Academics was among the first to alert the industry of Durk's arrest, as was to be expected. He created a video and tweeted about the incident. In connection with the murder of Quando Rondo's cousin, Lil P, U.S. Marshals arrested Lil Durk on Thursday and charged him with murder for hire, according to sources. He will remain in custody at the Broward County Correctional Facility until he is sent to California. According to police records, he is being held at the Broward County Correctional Facility in Florida without the option of bail while he awaits extradition to California to face federal accusations. The age of the rapper is 32. The following is the backstory. His mugshot was released to the public. Lil Durk founded the label Only the Family OTF in 2010 and claims that OTF is not a gang after 5 OTF members were charged with federal crimes on October 17th for allegedly attempting to kill Rondo in 2022 for allegedly being engaged in the shooting death of rapper King in 2020. Durk was not listed as a defendant in the complaint filed on October 17, but it has been verified that his arrest by federal authorities is linked to the murder for a higher charge. There is more to this murder than the 5 individuals charged in the indictment. Keith Jones, Deandra Dantrell Wilson, and Kayan London Grant are the men mentioned in the lawsuit. Lindsay, David Bryan, and ASA Houston.
Charges include conspiracy to murder for hire, committing murder for hire involving a death, and the use of a machine gun in a violent crime resulting in death.
After discovering Quando Rando's whereabouts, OTF members apparently purchased airline tickets using a credit card linked to the record label, enabling them to travel from Chicago to California. Let's make some connections now. The 5 men listed in the U.S. indictment are charged with carrying out the shooting as part of a concerted scheme involving alleged OTF affiliates who reportedly put Rando for a bounty rather than his murdered cousin El Poo. Prosecutors framed their case against Lil Durk and his label in the complaint that was made public last Friday, claiming that the family is not only a music organization but also a hybrid organization that doubles as a criminal enterprise that has committed evil and vile things at the direction of banks. This was part of a larger plot that also included alleged gang activities by OTF. According to the indictment, these persons hoped to get revenge on Quando Rondo because they claimed he was involved in the untimely death of rapper King Von in 2020. One of Durk's alleged crimes, according to the prosecution, was the 2020 attempted murder of musician Quando Rondo, which was purportedly orchestrated as payback for the 2020 murder of Lil Durk's friend, rapper King Von. It's interesting to note that the 5 guys were implicated in the 2022 shooting death of Quando Rondo's cousin in both the current accusations and the earlier indictment. Prosecutors, however, clearly linked Lil Durk to the 2022 shooting order in the most recent indictments, alleging that it was payback for an Atlanta shooting in 2020, whereby it is alleged that King Von was shot and killed by a Rondo associate. According to authorities, TB and Banks were embroiled in a public dispute at the time of the murder. TB's associate shot and killed OTF rapper Davon Von Bennett on June 6, 2020, which was the subject of the feud. According to the most recent filing, King Von Bennett, an OTF member and personal friend of the bank, was also planning to leave the country at the time of his arrest. 5 OTM members were reportedly apprehended, and prosecutors were informed that Lil Durk had reservations for commercial flights to Switzerland, Dubai, and the United Arab Emirates, but he never got on any of those planes. Lil Durk was detained just before he boarded a private jet to Italy after the FBI allegedly found out that he had reserved passage on the aircraft. Cat Williams said at the time that this year is the year of truth, and since it appeared like just the family was returning to Puerto Rico, I assumed he had just returned from the future. A less startling development is that the latest petition appears to implicate OTF as in, according to the indictment, co-conspirator 1 would place a bounty on individuals, including TB Quando Rondo, also known as TB, whom he and other OTF members wanted to assassinate. The indictment continues by alleging that defendant Wilson and other known and unidentified co-conspirators would get payment or lucrative recording chances from OTF as part of the bounty for anyone involved in the killing of TB. I think Durk is included as the 3rd co-conspirator in the indictment. Examine this username. Using the credit card associated with OTF co-conspirator 3, the co-conspirators would purchase airline tickets to travel to California and carry out the murder. TB prosecutors claimed that the assistants' hotel rooms were booked using the same credit card. It was allegedly issued using a bank account that was owned by Durk's previous manager. How did the strategy turn out? It was also alleged that L. Durk's father received another credit card under the same account. It went south, as the indictment attests. You don't need an interpreter to tell you that Sassar is now Pat if you've been paying attention. There was a neighborhood rumor that someone had snitched on Quando Rondo's whereabouts following the attack on his camp that killed El Pap. But because the indictment over a number 2 on August 18, 2022, claims that one or more conspirators, including co-conspirator 4, were accountable for TB's murder, the street is always right. Who snitched was the great question when the authorities found out that TB was going to California and staying at a hotel in Los Angeles. But before you start berating yourself over that mystery, let's take a look at how the indictment described the terrible events of the day. At a Los Angeles gas station, the killer squad tracked, stalked, and attempted to kill TB using 2 automobiles, one of which had no registered license plate. At least 18 bullets were allegedly fired at TB's by the conspirators, which hit El Pap and killed him. The murder squad then assembled at a cafe, where they quickly paid for the attack, according to the prosecution. They allegedly committed one last mistake at dawn when they purchased tickets to Chicago using the same credit card that was connected to the OTF. The indictment's connection between the crime and King Vow's 2020 murder should also be taken into account.
Here it is. It says, the charges mark the latest fallout from the high-profile killing of King Von. They connecting it. They connecting dots.
Prosecutors say this shows that the case has deeper roots in a long-running conflict. Tensions between V's OTF and Rondo's camp arose after V's premature death in Atlanta concluded the 2020 altercation between King Von and Rondo's crew. Associates, the retaliation following V's death is believed to have continued with this recently revealed murder for a larger conspiracy. But as I looked into this situation, I came across a user comment that stands out for its thoughtful viewpoint. It is quite unfortunate that all of this, an egotistical fistfight that occurred in 2020 caused the disaster, and it's even more tragic to see that all that's left of that unfortunate incident is a bowl of consequences that Durk might have to live with for the rest of his life. For rapper Lil Durk, who went from being given the key to the village of Broadview to being imprisoned in the same year during the mighty fall, along with all they have worked for, it feels like the year is ending in the exact opposite way from how it started. This reversal is astounding. It is impossible to be a rapper and a gangster at the same time. You will soon become a rapper like Lil Durk if you are both. Luck, but who's at fault? Your empire roams aimlessly beyond your prison, and the feds are always watching you if you touch anything. If you are dirty, you will eventually be caught. While you're living your life thinking you got away with it, the FBI is gathering the evidence that will, unfortunately, be your demise if you are found guilty, according to Ale Davis, Assistant Director in charge of the FBI Los Angeles Field Office. What if the supervisor and 5 crew members received life sentences in federal prison? What would happen to the rest of the crew, excluding the family, if Lil Durk and the 5 accused OTF members indicted in the separate indictment were sentenced to life in federal prison? What if he had an incident and... Rappers often overlook the fact that their choices, the people they spend their time with, and the decisions they make today all affect how well their music sells. This is particularly true when they have the financial means to engage in gangster activities. The effects on your life and work in general, particularly in light of the shocking turn of events concerning L. As the founder of OTF, Durk had a great year at the beginning of the year before being swiftly accused of a felony that might result in life in prison, if proven true. Let's review briefly. About the month before Lil Durk was in prison.
Durk Banks, also known as Lil Durk. It brings me great honor and pleasure as the mayor of the village of Broadview to present this key. And so on behalf of the village of Broadview, we are honored to present this key to the city, to Durk Banks neighborhood hero.
The Grammy-winning musician all my life gets honored for his work with the Heroes Foundation in the vicinity of his birthplace. He received numerous municipal keys, such as those to the villages of Bellwood and Broadview. In a shocking turn of events, this well-known honor is added to the long list of accolades that the self-described voice of the trenches has received recently. The honorary key Durk had handed to the city just a week before was revoked by Broadview Mayor Katrina Thompson following his arrest on Friday. On October 18, Chicago Village officials informed Durk that the rapper had been arrested by U.S. Marshals in Florida on suspicion of committing a murder conspiracy. Additionally, Broadview officials terminated their partnerships with Durk's nonprofit, the Local Heroes Foundation. The mayor emphasized that the village of Broadview's court of public opinion has even higher moral and ethical standards of behavior, despite the fact that everyone is deemed innocent unless proven guilty under the American judicial system. This is merely an example of the consequences brought by. If your associates disown you, gang life will either put you in jail or destroy your reputation. It's interesting to observe that some people continue to consider if the ego-driven altercation that led to these deaths was worthwhile. Allow me to transport you back 4 years to a period when freedom and quality music were highly valued. For King, the events of November 6, 2020 began as any other. Val and his group were at Atlanta's famous nightlife venue, the Monaco Hookah Lounge. No one could have predicted the terrible events that would take place, even though Cool Rondo and his group were present as well. An altercation between the two groups developed over the evening, and surveillance film revealed that King Val swiftly delivered the initial blow to Cool Rondo outside the nightclub, sparking a bloody altercation between the two groups. Fists flew, and things swiftly spiraled out of control. Then there was confusion in the combat. Timothy L. Rondo's first-day acquaintance allegedly produced a gun and fired bullets, according to Tim's leak. King Von was struck multiple times, and as the gunfire continued into the night, the scene erupted into mayhem, with people scurrying everywhere. The damage had already been done when Von's team attempted to extract him. Despite the efforts of the medical professionals, King Val died later that evening after being transported to a nearby hospital with serious injuries. Ten was arrested at the scene and charged with King Val's murder. He subsequently posted a $100,000 bond and was released. Rondo, who saw the altercation, vehemently denied any involvement in the shooting in subsequent interviews, claiming that he did not personally know King Von and had never had any issues with him. This decision enraged V's supporters. He said that during the battle, he and his crew were only defending themselves. Regretfully, Lil Durk has been stuck with what seems to be regular beef for years, much like a sickness. His career has been irrevocably impacted by the case. He may not be able to hold his loved ones as he once did, in addition to being imprisoned. I believe that the feds are searching Lil Durk's lyrics for evidence because he is unable to write songs the way he used to. According to news sources, Lil Durk may now be charged with 2 additional crimes by the federal authorities after the Chicago rapper was arrested. In a recent indictment, the rapper said that one of his songs, which was commercialized in his crime, expressly referenced Quando Rondo's murder attempt, which killed his cousin. Federal prosecutors in the criminal case are claiming that Lil Durk instructed his OTF members to commit murder based on his lyrics. Rapper Quando Rondo asserts that Lil Durk attempted to commercialize the crime by rapping about his retaliation, despite the fact that he was imprisoned for a longer time than he had expected. The feds probably purchased a JBL speaker and started playing his music, particularly the songs he had published at the time of the crimes. Scouting, the feds reportedly realized that if Lil Durk fell for Von, he couldn't just keep quiet about the situation. So in a shocking turn of events, he ended bars by boasting about orchestrating the hit on Quando Rondo. A second indictment was issued 2 weeks after Lil Durk was arrested and accused of conspiring to commit murder for hire. More interestingly, it claimed that Lil Durk had referenced the attack in one of his songs. It also contained 2 more charges, including murder for hire and a firearms charge. According to the indictment, defendant Banks planned to turn LLP's murder into a commercial success by singing about his revenge against Rondo after Rondo was targeted for murder and Elpo was killed. The important question now is, what tune are the feds talking about? Remember the song by Lil Durk from 2022? According to the feds, the lyrics of the song Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy, which was recorded shortly after the attack, heavily referenced news footage that documented Quando Rondo's reaction to LP's passing. While some contend that using song lyrics as evidence in criminal trials violates the right to free speech, this is not the first time the practice has been used in the years when the business has dominated the legal system. In the clip, Rondo was seen shouting "No, no," and the lyrics continued, "Go tell me they got an Addy." proceed to the designated place, get a green light, and then watch the news to see your son yelling, "No, no, PO." Opposition to this practice, which led some lawyers to attempt to curb it, but it continues unchecked, particularly in the just concluded YSL case that almost resulted in Young Thug's permanent imprisonment. As you may remember, Lil Durk, only hours before his arrest, revealed that his new album, Deep Thoughts, would be released on November 22. Now that the CD hasn't been released, fans are enraged, with some suggesting that the lyrics would provide sufficient proof to. Unfortunately, like with the previous indictment, the new one maintains that L. In addition to being a collection of Chicago rappers, Durk's Soul Family is a hybrid criminal organization that collaborates with Durk to commit terrible crimes. The OTF empire will be dismantled if the federal government can demonstrate this. If you enjoyed this video, click the card that shows up on your screen to see more like it.